about perception. We perceive truth and deception equally. There is deceptive graphics, which is the ball, and all the heliocentric model graphics and everything around this topic are deceptive, but there are truthful graphics, truthful things that people can perceive. And if people are stuck to the ball and they completely ignore anything that goes into the direction of when they hear the word flat, right, they already turn off, because that's how they are programmed, how they are being programmed through the leaders of this world, who want to protect their system of lies and want to keep people inside these lies. Because imagine what it does to people if their ground of reasoning is a bunch of lies, comes from a natural deception. Imagine what that does to people's spirits and lives. Even though they may think they live truth, they live a bunch of lies. Okay. And their reasoning becomes also just as deceiving. And they basically, first they were deceived, and then they deceive themselves further into believing these things and all the numbers that come with it. Then they believe in these numbers because the numbers add up within the model. They do not realize that it's fairly easy that if you have a model, that the numbers work out, but it's still not representing reality. If you have a model, then you just keep layering lie upon lie upon lie. And for everything that you actually perceive in reality, they come up with excuses, with new lies, then you have a tilt, then you have, not a perfect ball, but then you have a oblate spheroid. Then it's excuse upon excuse, lie upon lie, to justify this model, to justify this theory, which is the heliocentric model. But is it truth? And if you realize that the way your perception works, there is already a natural deception to it, then you come closer to the truth. Because then you realize, reality is reality, and then on top of that there's the way you perceive this reality. So I got you this graphic here, or it's actually also a model, 3D model program software that I found, and it shows they are also using a completely flat surface. And I drew in the circle of 5 kilometers, circle of perception, so to say, that makes up your horizon when you're standing at the ocean, for example. I drew it in, so in this position you can see there's a man and we're at eye level. You can't see further than the horizon, and the gray area is everything that you're perceiving within that circle. Within these 5 kilometers, it's the radius of the circle. But when I'm slowly zooming out, slowly zooming out, slowly zooming out, at some point you realize that the horizon, this actually goes further, this flat surface goes further, but we didn't see it before. And the reason why we did not see it before is because of perspective, because we are so close, because we're just 2 meters above ground. Our eyesight is bound to these laws of perspective. This creates a perceived reality, which is not reality itself, but the way we perceive that reality. And we cannot look any further than 5 kilometers because we do not drastically change our position. And even if we change our position, like horizontally, we just drag this whole circle that is around us, we just drag it with us. Once we change our height, then the radius of the circle increases, but still the surface is flat, and there will be something beyond what we can perceive, which will just be continuing to be flat. And people need to understand that this is very possible. Most think that the way we perceive the horizon at the ocean is only possible on a ball. That's what people believe, but it's a false belief. The word only comes in here, okay? Which is not true, because it is also possible with a flat surface. And I am showing you why it is possible. I am showing you how it is possible because of perspective, okay? And in fact, these laws of perspective also apply to the ball, on top of the ball itself being curved. So, all in all, it's more likely that Earth is flat than a ball. And the way we perceive that flat surface then seems ballish to people, and from there they base off all these theories. They come with the ball theory and the heliocentric model, and they have basically already fallen for this natural deception. And then the model just becomes this theory that is sourced from this very first deception, right? The way we perceive reality is ballish, but reality is flat. And again, I am showing you that the way we perceive the horizon at the ocean is also possible, and perfectly possible, with a flat surface. And also the sunrise and the sunset and the moonrise and the moonset, it's all possible on a flat surface. Also the lunar phases, it's all possible because of perspective. And what you could say then, go so far to say that the ball theory is actually the inversion of reality. You have to reverse everything and realize that the surface is flat. And then slowly by slowly, step by step, you can uncover more truths.
Hey guys, Jeff here. Today I want to talk about the luminaries, the sun, the moon, and the stars, and how they rotate around in the firmament above us. I've gone over the sun in the past, so you might know a little bit about this subject. The sun goes around in a circle, and it takes 24 hours for the sun to circle the flat earth in one day. And the sun's circles get bigger and smaller depending on the time of the year. In June, the sun is circling over the Tropic of Cancer, so it's got a much tighter circle. In December, the sun is circling over the Tropic of Capricorn, so it's got a much bigger circle. And at the equinoxes, the sun is circling over the equator. Okay, equinox, equator. Now the moon also circles above the flat earth, but the moon is slightly slower than the sun. The moon takes 24 hours and 50 minutes to circle the flat earth. That's what's called a lunar day. It's slightly slower than the sun. So where the sun takes 24 hours to make one 360-degree circle, which is 15 degrees an hour, the moon takes 24 hours and 50 minutes to make one 360-degree circle, which equates to only 14.5 degrees per hour. So the moon, because it's slightly slower, it loses a half a degree on the sun per hour. So this half a degree per hour equals 12 degrees per day. So as the sun and the moon circle above in the firmament, the moon loses 12 degrees per day on the sun. And this 12-degree loss causes the lunar phases. So as you see here in this little animation, we've got the sun and the moon circling above, 1 hour at a time. And by the time the sun gets back to its original position at 12 noon, after one full day has gone by, the moon has lost 12 degrees on the sun. And this happens every day. And this loss of 12 degrees per day is what's going to cause the phases of the moon. So if you were to look up at the sky on day 1 at midnight in New Jersey, the moon would be here. And if you were to look up at the sky at the exact same time on day 2, the moon would be here. It's lost 12 degrees. It's 12 degrees further to the east. And if you were to look up at the sky at midnight on day 3, the moon would be 12 degrees further, and 12 degrees further, and so on and so forth. The moon loses 12 degrees per day, and this causes the phases of the moon. And I did my best to try to animate this for you so you could see it and understand it better. Now the stars are slightly different. There's something known as a sidereal day, which is slightly shorter than a solar day. A solar day is a true 24 hours. A sidereal day or a stellar day is what's slightly shorter by 4 minutes. A stellar day is only 23 hours and 56 minutes. So because it's 4 minutes faster than a regular day, this 4 minutes equates to 1 degree. So the stars all rotate around Polaris every single day, but because they're slightly faster than the sun, it gains 1 degree per day, and this causes the stars to shift 1 degree per day roughly, or roughly 7 degrees per week. So if you were to look up at the sky at the same time every day, they're going to be slightly different because they're shifting 1 degree every day. So here I've made a little animation of the Big Dipper and Polaris. I'm not going to include all the rest of the stars in this because, I'm not a computer whiz, but I can do the Big Dipper and Polaris. And every day it circles around Polaris. Polaris never moves. The North Star never moves. I know in my little animation it's bouncing around just a little bit here, but it's supposed to be constant. It never moves. It's a guide. So 1 rotation equals 1 stellar day. Now because it gains 1 degree per day, if you were to look up at the sky at week 1, you're going to see this. And week 2, if you were to look up at the sky at the same time, it's going to be shifted 7 degrees. And week 3, it's going to be shifted another 7 degrees roughly, and week 4, and week 5. And throughout the year, the constellations will constantly shift because they shift 1 degree a day roughly. And we have 365 days a year. So it's slightly less than 1 degree, but you get the point. This is how the constellations shift throughout the year. And this shift causes the constellations to be in a different spot throughout the year. And when this happens, you get fall, winter, spring, and summer. The 4 seasons. This symbol is an ancient symbol. You might know it as the swastika, but what it really means is the 4 seasons, because if you were to look at the Big Dipper throughout the year, this is what it's going to look like. Constantly pointing to the North Star, which never moves. So you got your spring, summer, fall, and winter. Unbelievable stuff. And it never stops. It just rotates around.